Check out my YouTube channel and also my latest video for my latest comment. It's very important. It's a PSA of sorts. Now, over the next few weeks or months, and you heard it here first on Maestro Drake, you're going to see comparisons between Rachel Zegler's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and Brett Cooper's version. Now, Jeremy Griggs, D-Day Cobra, has already made a comparison to this months ago, maybe a year or two ago, okay? But Gary of Nerdrotic, Eric July, Clownfish, The Critical Drinker, Midnight's Edge, Dave Cullen, XYZ, they're all going to compare this to say, here's the better Snow White coming soon. Here's the better Snow White. Here's the better Snow White. Here's the better Snow White. Okay? You're going to see this woman's face. By the way, I'm subscribed to her channel for her topics. Oh, she's married. Don't care. But anyway, the whole point is that this is going to be the better Snow White. But honestly, we've had, how many years? We've had about over 90 years of media, okay? Starting with Disney, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, okay? We had Muppet Babies, Family Guy, Alvin and the Chipmunks. I don't know. We've had parodies. We've had different versions, okay? So there are so many versions you can choose from. You don't have to rely on Brett Cooper's version to be the version. There are different ones. There's one from 97. There's other cheap animated ones. And, you know, Disney, they'll make their mistakes. But digressing, moving on, let's talk about Snow White and the Huntsman from 2012. Now, before I even get into this review, I have unfollowed Rachel Zegler. I walk back my comments. I have to apologize for my behavior on this. Now, my original assessment was not wrong at that time. When you're 22, you're going to say and do dumb things, but she's said and done dumb things after that comment. Very narcissistically, like saying, oh, people are going to go see my movie. And also attacking Trump supporters. Now, I'm glad she apologized, but she was forced to apologize because of the way she was behaving. At 22, and then getting into fights with Gal Gadot, what is that about? But she's not the first to do this kind of shit. You know, you see other people. When Marlon Brando did The Freshman, I think he denounced it publicly, and then his publicist or his agent had to shut him down. That happened. He didn't like The Freshman for what he agreed to do it, and then he didn't told people not to watch it. Didn't like it. He did the same thing with The Godfather. That's why he wasn't in The Godfather Part 2. Like you would kind of see, oh, everybody went to go see him, but you never saw him in the second movie. Well, you just saw Robert De Niro instead. And dare I say, Michael Richards ended his comedy career. Do I need to go into this with you? No, I don't. But there you go. So he's moved on to better things. He's shaken a lot of black hands since 2007. Mr. Donald Sterling, who's got problems. This is the Donald that's racist. If you want to talk about a racist Donald, here it is. Ruined his career. How about this guy? Remember this guy? AJ Clemente. Fucking shit. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about why you swore. Anyway, so that was a thing that happened. There were lots of people who've said dumb things. So, you know, weird as it is. I will definitely say, the one thing I will say for Rachel is that she definitely has her future in singing. So stick to singing, stick to Broadway. I'm sure Hamilton has a place for you. Just stick to Broadway. You'll do just fine. There's a place for you on Broadway. Don't go back to Hollywood. Now, and I did see something in IMDb article that said that they owed Kristen Stewart an apology for kind of shunning her for this movie. Over Rachel Zegler. Now that they've seen Rachel Zegler, you know, much like Brie Larson, but that's the thing. That's why I defended her too, is because Brie Larson, when she said she didn't need no 40-year-old white man to judge her movie, she was already set in her ways. Rachel was still young, but they're both pretty bad, aren't they? Both pretty bad. And I think they said one of the anti-SJW said that the Marvels did better than Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which is kind of considerable, saying that, you know, Brie Larson's in that movie, right? So, where are we at? 4 minutes, 45 seconds to the 5-minute mark. But, yeah, they owed an apology. Now, Kristen Stewart, this is the movie here. Kristen Stewart, who is Snow White in the 2012 version. You got Charlize Theron And then to the right, of course, you got one of those brothers. I was going to say Liam Hemsworth, but it could be Chris Hemsworth. Or maybe it's Liam. I don't remember anymore. Chris or Liam's Hemsworth. You got Hemsworth there, okay? We're just going to call him Hemsworth because I forget which guy it is. And you got Bob Hoskins, a couple of years before he passed away, and some other people. What's his name? Ray Winstone, right? Big. I mean, I always wanted to put this in goth metal lore, but it doesn't exactly feel like goth metal lore. I'm just going to call it Snow White and the Huntsman review. So, a little behind the scenes drama. People were condemning Kristen Stewart because she had a public relationship with Robert Pattinson. Now, this was the Twilight era. You remember that? What is it? Taylor Lautner and Robert Pattinson, the werewolf or the vampire, Team Edward or Team whoever it is. And I think middle-aged women were stealing cardboard cutouts of Taylor Lautner out of the bookstores, and like security guards had to tackle her. You think you remember that? The 2010s, because you don't think they're distinct from the 2020s, but they are. They sure are. And so Kristen Stewart had this relation. There are celebrities that have power relationships and bearded couples, okay? It looked cool to be with Robert Pattinson, but it was all bullshit. It was all smoke and mirrors, okay? Some couples, they get together and it never lasts, like Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger, right? But with Zendaya and Tom Holland, I can believe that. I mean, it looks like it works, mostly. But because Kristen Stewart slept around with the director of this movie. The director of this movie was and Kristen Stewart hooked up, you know. But that's all the drama that matters. Now let's get to the movie itself. We are starting this movie, talking about it within, I don't know, 6-7 minutes. And I had to talk about all this other stuff because all this other Snow White stuff was building up to this, okay? Everybody's been talking about it. I did not go see the movie with Rachel Zegler. Instead, I decided to talk about it now decided to see this movie with Kristen Stewart. So it's a very mature adult, sort of a rated R kind of movie, maybe PG-13 to R, because there's no real nudity. It doesn't get too sexually graphic, but there's PG-13 sort of touches of romance and sexuality. Okay, and I like the way that Charlize Theron is portrayed here. Now she has her backstory, and Snow White has her backstory, and we see the Huntsman has his backstory. His backstory is explored in a sequel, which I heard was not as good. It serves as a prequel and a sequel to this movie, The Huntsman: Winter's War. You don't need to see that. And I was also surprised to learn that the dwarves are not real dwarves. It was like Bob Hoskins' head put on a CGI little body. Now, I haven't seen anything concerning. Let me just look up something. Here I found something. Exclusive. Warwick Davis unhappy about dwarf actor exclusion in Hollywood. Says it's a shame. He said it's interesting. Recently, you're seeing lots of sort of short, fictionally characters being played by normal-sized actors, shrunk digitally. I mean, at first, I sort of excused it, thinking there's not really the pool of talent to draw from, like with Lord of Rings, for example. So I sort of excused that for happening. But recently, they're doing it for more and more. I think it looks scary almost. It's not a good look. It is a shame because there's a lot of really talented short actors in the world, but they're not getting a chance to do what they do. Some of them have trained for years to do this, and they're just not getting a look in. You know, it would just be wrong to cast someone as a disabled person in a wheelchair with an able body, I think. But they're doing it all the time with short people. I'm not actively campaigning on this, but it would be nice to see if my voice was heard on these issues. The editor of this, the writer of this article says, Warwick Davis wanting a voice in Hollywood on the issue could be interpreted as a counter-response to Peter Dinklage, who has largely been seen as having been done grave damage to short actors to end their careers. Many believe the Snow White film is altered in response to the criticisms. Now, there are a couple of YouTubers who said, hey, you know, it's easy to criticize Peter Dinklage, but the other actors, little actors need money. You know, you got money. They need the money. And the only funny character he really played that I can remember right now is in Pixels. Remember Pixels? It's back in pixel form. So, yeah, there's a bit of conflict there. So with whether it's Rachel Zegler, they're using completely CGI, or Snow White and the Huntsman, the dwarves in there are just like, it's not real little people, which is a shame. But let's get back to the plot. So we go from the family, Snow White's family, to Snow White. So the mother dies, she gets sick. The father gets killed by Charlize Theron, who poses as a kidnapped damsel, taken in by these soldiers who are made up of like broken mirrors and shit. You got the mirror as a twisted gold fleece looking thing. You got the brother who's twisted as fuck. Okay, they got the perverted brother. You got other captives. So the queen just wants, I mean, it's the tale of Snow White. The queen just wants to be beautiful forever. Her mother gave her a spell so that she can steal the beauty of others. And she has to kill to do it. So she kills people, takes over their castles, robs them of their beauty. And she has everlasting beauty for centuries, right? So Snow White escapes the clutches of the queen, taking over her father being dead. She goes to the forest. And while this is not a Disney movie, you get that Disney feeling when you see all the happy animals and the fairies of the forest, and you do see the seven dwarves. And there's a little bit of nice happiness. There's a sad moment when Snow White's horse is stuck in the mud, in the tar and mud. Can't get him out. He's just stuck there. And then there's a beautiful, sort of fantastic looking ram or a bull, I think, and in the trees. And you got the archer, you got different people on the queen's side, and then and the best part is, okay, and somebody pointed this out in a YouTube comment, that Kristen Stewart as Snow White at the end of this. Now, of course, Chris or Liam Hemsworth, whichever Hemsworth, kisses Snow White back to life when her brother could not. So she gets on this metal armor. She gets on this good old fashioned like 15th century armor. Okay, and she wages war on the queen. She does a little bit of badass shit. Okay, not too much, but she just leads. And all she needs to do is to lead the group, give that good morale to get the army ready to go and attack and kill the queen. They have to kill the queen. Okay, you end the queen, you end the movie pretty much. Only the fairest blood can disarm the queen, and she is the fairest. So I guess Snow White keeps the mirror. I guess it's kind of funny like that. But all hail the queen, and it's beautiful. So yeah, she doesn't really take on a prince or a king. Actually, she doesn't take on Hemsworth, the Huntsman, or her brother. But it's a nice little ending. It was a beautiful movie. Looking back at it, obviously Kristen Stewart was in the shop of being the pretty girl against the dark realm of things. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I'm going to give it a rating. I'm going to give it in the middle between 4 and 4.5. I don't think this is the best fairy tale that I've watched. Maybe there is something. Maybe I'll get back to you on that. But it is up there. It is definitely up there in the B to B plus. B plus to an A, right? So this is something that's worth your time. Now, have you seen Snow White and the Huntsman? Have you seen Snow White and the Evil Queen? Pretend it's 2026. Have you seen Brett Cooper's Snow White? If you're watching this 2026, hey, how's it going? Happy New Year. Have you seen the Muppet Babies do Snow White? Or a musical or a ballet of Snow White on stage in real life? Or any other version of Snow White? I mean, there's the Horror 197, the original cartoon. There's Rachel Zegler's version. There's different versions, okay? So let me know which version you've seen, and I'm going to move on. There's better things to do than to waste my time talking to you. Maybe. But love and peace to you all, except the ones who don't like me. You know where you can go.